So we are here for what I am very personally invested in, which is talking about the business of influence and how influencers have turned social media, reality TV, into a business. And these are two that have been at it for a very good amount of time and really know how to think about this as a business. So I'd love to start with both of you just sharing a little bit more about your stories, how you've gotten to where you are today. Kyle, why don't we go ahead and start with you?
Sure. Well, how you doing, everybody? I didn't know we were the last panel. So the only thing between us and happy hour
yes,
is
exactly.
a quick little combo. So funny enough, when I started helping cast summer houses 2015 and influencer marketing was not a thing, I was thinking about it from a product placement standpoint and how you can integrate your business into the storytelling of reality television. And there was also a side of me that just wanted to do it because I was already in the Hamptons paying to be there. And I just think it's been a pretty wild ride. I mean, my second season, I made $60,000. There was no brand partnerships. Like I said, it was the early days of building a following that you would then hope to convert into customers of something that you care about. Fast forward to today when I have friends that enter the second season, they're making millions on, the brand partnerships. So it has been a wild ride in terms of just how different, some of the outcomes are. I'll just end with, I think that reality television plays a very interesting role because of the relatability of the storytelling.
Right.
And so if you can build something that people care about, I can convert at a much higher ratio than just about anybody with a following on Instagram. And I think that just speaks to how much reality television plays a role in pop culture and influencer marketing.
Yeah, definitely. Jason?
Yeah, I think reality TV creates the attention, and right now individuals are becoming entities, and then you own everything that you're doing, and it gives you direct distribution. So for me, I had an MBA in finance. I was in the banking industry. I went on The Bachelorette. I came in third. I got dumped before the fantasy suite. I didn't know what to expect. Went back to work, and one day I get a call from somewhere like, Jason, we liked this scene in the show. We got $15,000 for you to take a photo and take a photo of you with a weighted blanket. And I'm like, what the hell? A photo of a weighted blanket? All right, let's do it. And I quickly realized the analytics and the business behind that and how you can actually see the numbers that were converting from a post in 2018. And being in the banking industry, I saw so many businesses, I saw so many margins, and I was like, this is game-changing right here. Something's happening. Fast forward, that was 2018. It's now 2026. I have a top business and entrepreneur podcast where the theme is we are taught the things that we weren't taught in school as it relates to financial transparency and personal finance and career navigation. I published 2 books. One's on career navigation. The other one's on love and money. I went on a couple book tours, and I own an agency now. Because what I was thinking was, this might die in 2018, but if I can work with other people, and I could make 10 to 20% of what they're doing, I just need 5 of those people to supplement what I'm doing, and I could go off in the sunset. And fast forward 2026, the creator business for me is the highest it's been. The agency has grown to levels we never imagined. We produce podcasts. We represent people exclusively and non-exclusively. We do events at the Super Bowl and F1 and Hamptons and Art Basel and all those things. And the business has grown to a level I just never expected. All from The Bachelorette.
For getting dumped.
All for getting dumped.
Yeah, and getting dumped. Kyle, could you talk, Jason just shared a little bit about some of his businesses. Obviously, we have...
This is my baby.
Loverboy. Can you tell us a little bit more about Loverboy?
Well, first couple seasons there, the fan base is just getting to know me. I was working on a nutrition coaching app that nobody cared about. Ironically, I'm known for my late night snacking. So it was very counterintuitive. What people did want to know was what we were drinking. And I almost felt guilty telling them because the products... if you've noticed, alcohol products don't have nutrition facts or ingredients on them more often than not. And the drinks that we were drinking were absolutely horrible for you. Half the time you wake up with a hangover, it's because of the sugar or the additives. So Loverboy was the first ever better-for-you, all-natural, zero-sugar hard tea. We have a line of zero-sugar spritzes and low-sugar cocktails. To Jason's point, some of these products we actually can sell online which is very unique for an alcohol supplier. We're usually multiple tiers behind the consumer with no real direct relationship with them. I built a brand that is digital first. We launched on the show. We actually gave people a behind the scenes look at what it's like to start, launch, manage, and deal with the ups and downs of entrepreneurship, all while partying in the Hamptons. And so Loverboy has gone through a roller coaster of a ride, and it is kind of built on the premise that I can acquire a customer for near zero as long as I can get product to them. And distribution in alcohol is the hardest part of the game.
Yeah.
But I'm 7 years in and running this, and it's been quite the ride.
So one of the things I think that's a little interesting being on reality TV, working as an influencer, is that balance between personal and professional. Obviously, a lot of other people don't have to deal with that in their normal careers. How do you kind of and obviously, you have a little something personal going on that has
there's a little elephant in the room.
Elephant.
We're going through a very public split that got very complicated.
So how do you kind of balance the ups and downs of that, and how can you kind of use it to your advantage, or
Well, one thing we share in common, we both went through very public breakups. So I'll let you go first.
I'll go first. Yeah, I'll take this one. Think about it for a second. I think right now, more than ever, probably the most important currency out there in 2026 is social currency. We're on our phones on average 7 to 8 hours a day. We look at our phone for about 100 notifications per day. If you look at Gen Alpha and Gen Z, they're spending all their time on social media. And so whether it's politics, education, business leadership, non-for-profit, whatever you're doing, today you have to have a social presence. And if you do have a strong social currency, your rate of impact is going to multiply significantly. So to tie into this question about sharing your personal life, I think everyone here can relate to, you get back at home, maybe your wife, your husband, your partner, whoever it is, and something happened in the neighborhood. There's a divorce, there's a breakup, there's a scandal, there's an affair, someone just bought a new house or got a new job, and it's the talk. And what I have learned is that happens in every community. And it's your personal situation, it's your personal diary. Yeah. When you bring that to life on social media, you have to be very careful. But you can also make a lot of impact, because what I've learned is that empowerment is tied to vulnerability, and vulnerability is connection. And through heartbreak and through sadness and successes and learning lessons, on social media, you could build a community that you can share what it's like to go through the hardest times and inspire someone who's also going through a hard time. You could go through a financial constraint and teach someone a lesson they never would have been taught. You can have the most happiness you've ever found in a relationship, but had to find it through 4 breakups and really tough situations. And through that, because of our phones and because of social currency, you can build communities outside of your dinner table or outside your neighborhood. And so to me, knowing that currency has such an impact and can also be a business that you can do things through your individual entity, to me, it's really important. And I think change is the only constant, but the one change that's going nowhere is the value of social currency. And that's why I'm so okay with sharing things that happen in my personal life. And a lot of things on social media, it's a personal diary just out there for a lot of people.
The key word in our industry, which is reality television, unscripted television, and it's so overused, but it is spot on, is vulnerability.
Yeah.
And that is how you connect. It's not being the most successful. In fact, if my business was already, built up and successful, there's no story to follow. So when you slap your name on something, and there's no build-up, and no anticipation, and you can't bring people along for the ride. Now, I've been on 14 seasons of television, hundreds of episodes across 3 different TV shows. My entire 10-year relationship, from dating to my proposal, marriage, wedding, and now divorce, has been on television. And I think sometimes my emotions get the best of me, but I think the reason I'm one of the network's go-tos is because I am vulnerable.
Yeah.
And I've learned to be vulnerable about my business. So I was very open and honest on an episode of Summer House this season where I talked about my putting $500,000 back into the business and literally using it to cover payroll. And we saw an outpouring of support. I'd done $1.5 million in direct-to-consumer this month alone. Well, what's today? May 1st? In April.
April 30th. April 30th.
And it's been absolutely remarkable to just see the loyalty that... look, Bravo is a unique kind of specimen within the reality TV world. We literally do BravoCon in Vegas, and it kind of is what it sounds like. So I just feel very lucky to be part of such an incredible platform. And that's really what it is. It is a platform.
Yeah, absolutely. I really want to go to BravoCon, so maybe this year is the year. So to turn back to Rewired, and you starting Rewired Talent Management, you are a client of Rewired.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about how the two of you started to work together?
Yeah, so I think it's all, especially with management, it's customization. Every single person that we work with has a different story, and it needs to be customized appropriately, and chapters change. And for Kyle, a lot of chapters have changed. He now works with DJ management. He has his own TV shows. He's producing shows. He owns his own business and then can monetize through digital. So we're one of the first agencies that is run by creators, advised by creators, and for creators. One of the best things about that is the efficiency in which we can change processes, because the same creators that are managing and advising are the same creators that are going through it. And I think one thing with Kyle that's been a pleasure to work with is just customization based on what's happening in his life. So, maybe it's a divorce and he's got to get a new apartment, and we can tell a story through his real life also while he's using apartments.com, and apartments.com can benefit significantly. And I think just in general, if you look at like the Super Bowl model, we all know how much advertisements go for Super Bowl, 30 seconds, right? $7-8 million. I would say, and I'm just guessing, and I haven't seen Kyle's numbers, but I would say if I go to Kyle's Instagram page over the last 60 days, he probably has as many eyeballs on his page as the Super Bowl will see in one segment of the Super Bowl. And so these companies can now work through his storytelling, and they can see the immediate analytics. There is no subjectivity when they decide to partner with Kyle. They can see where the people are watching, the click-through rate, the conversion, the impressions, the demographic, the ages, the locations, and that's why the efficiency of this space is growing at a compound annual growth rate of 22% a year and more in creator economy. And so working with someone like Kyle and across all different niches, it's become so much fun because you get so creative with organic placement to truly what's happening in his life.
Yeah. And I'm a bit of an outlier. Like I have an MBA as well. Like the whole TV thing was a bit of an accident, candidly. I actually run my own business. I am the CEO. I'm not just like the talking head, right. Which, there's a lot of celebrity brands, and, again, I'm a bit of an outlier. When I look at my pickups and I negotiate my contracts with NBCU, I'm actually doing it myself. I'm like, I've been unmanaged forever. So it's actually, we got started working together because I did his podcast. Mm-hmm. And I kind of picked up on, their early days of the agency. And I was like, listen, like if I go to one of the big agencies, they're going to look at what I've already negotiated for 10 years now and want a cut of that for doing nothing. Because that's how their business model works.
Right.
So I never signed with any of the big agencies because I'm just like, listen, I can negotiate my own contracts. Thank you very little. And so what was unique about Jason is he's like, dude, we don't need to touch what we don't work on. Let's get you some brand deals that are on brand that I can actually convert. More often than not, I'm already a consumer of the brands that we end up working with. So
yeah.
But I think disruption's the main thing. Like right now, everything is being disrupted, and part of my answer and Kyle's answer to his business is like customize and change. And so that's what we've been trying to do, just customize, change, because cookie cutter in today's digital world, it just doesn't work. Even the shift from like traditional film to like what's happening on digital and the way money's moving and how it's created, it's just change is the only constant, and you have to be willing to disrupt, otherwise your model will get disrupted.
Well, look at Peacock. So when I was on TV, it was the beginning of the streaming and content creation boom, and they didn't even know how to like look at our ratings to figure out if they should renew the show because TV consumption was just rapidly changing. And I got to give credit to NBCU. I mean, they have done a phenomenal job with Peacock. So more people are now watching Summer House on Peacock than cable.
Right. And to your point, it's just like the amount of data that you can collect is so much better than it used to be.
It just drives efficiency from a CMO down to the conversion like we've never seen in marketing, and that's why it's growing so fast.
The analytics, it's just, I was showing Jason my analytics on a post I did last night, kind of opened up about, this week's episode. I wish I had invested in my friend's, business. I wasn't in a position because I was investing in my own.
Yeah.
So I put up a post. I didn't even see the numbers last, but I mean, the engagement. I mean, millions of people in the last 24 hours.
It's crazy.
So it's just, it's an incredible platform that gives you direct feedback.
Yeah.
I think something cool too is we had, for my spark to happen, I had to go on reality TV. That's not the case anymore. Like anybody with a phone and a cool message, education, comedic relief, whatever it is, some passion, overnight we will get calls at our agency weekly of someone just blowing up. Going from maybe being, maybe they're a server at a restaurant and now they're making millions of dollars within 2 weeks. And so what I think is so cool is like, you go to these situations, events in life, you meet people and you're like, that person's special, but they never have had the chance to be like seen or never got their talent out there. There is no excuse now because you could just take your phone and show the world your magic and so much can change your life instantly, which I just think is so cool because it just ignites creativity.
Yeah.
And there's obviously some downside and some areas that need improvement with social media, but I also think there's so much upside as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So this went by so fast. We just have a couple minutes left. So I did want to end on kind of what's next. So I'm very happy to hear Loverboy is in a better place than it's showing currently on the season.
It's been pretty remarkable. But
yeah, what's next for you and Loverboy and everything?
So we have a lot of different direct-to-consumer products that we've never sold through retail. Part of that is figuring out some of our distribution challenges. We are looking for an operational partner. But my hope, even though I've been running this day-to-day for 7+ years, I'd love to be able to do what I'm good at, which is certainly not negotiate distribution agreements and call up, a wholesaler in the middle of America to try to figure out what's going on. I'd love to be able to do more content creation and give people a better look, behind the scenes. Because I can't rely on, to Jason's point, I can't rely on Bravo to capture everything. I need to be creating content on my own. You don't need a TV show now every brand under the sun needs to put their founder and their leadership team in front of the camera. That is how you build brands of today and tomorrow. So my plan is to kind of get out of the day-to-day and focus more on the content creation side and free myself up a little.
And DJ?
And DJing. I fly to Chicago tomorrow to DJ, so I won't be sticking around. I love music and I ended up DJing. A little midlife crisis, no big deal.
I love it.
Well, you're very good at it, or so I have. I haven't seen you in real life, but yeah, so I've been told.
You can throw a party, that's for sure.
And Jason, you?
Yeah, so at Rewired, we've been bootstrapped since day one, been profitable since day one. So I definitely want to do a raise. We have started a podcast division. We now represent Madison Keys, Jesse Pagula, Des Krawchuk, and Jenny Brady, the top 4 women's tennis players podcast, which is doing really well. So now we're in the podcast division, but we really need capital to grow. So that's kind of a focus.
Yeah.
And then what's cool is I get to wear this business hat, but also this creator talent hat, and you just never know what's going to happen. I don't know how much I can share, but I literally just got back from an island filming a show with Netflix where we were competing and surviving, and it was wild.
I was almost on it.
Which is, you were almost on it.
I was like, I got to run Loverboy. I can't go to... Can I say where it is?
No, I don't. Okay. But it's kind of the roulette wheel that we live in. You just never know what's going to come.
Yeah.
And to me, it's just when you're passionate about what you do and you're excited about what you do. And for 10 years in banking, I wasn't, and I burnt out. And I was an empty suit. And to find just excitement about what you're doing, it feels like it's like a blank canvas. There's no more. I was such a blueprint career guy. You go here to go here to go here. And now it feels like a mosaic. And to me, that's so much more fun.
Yeah, you never get bored because every day is probably very different. So.
And the fear, we've talked a lot about the good side. The fear is just like that, it could get shut down. It could get shut off.
Yeah.
And so preparing for those things
Having a lot of different, like you said, diversifying so that...
I never would have thought Summer House would be going 10 years strong. Yeah. That's just insanity in the TV world.
More popular than ever.
Biggest show on TV right now.
Yeah.
It gets a little overwhelming, but I think I was built for it. So.
Yeah, I would say too. You've got staying power for sure. Well, Jason, Kyle, this was so fun. Thank you so much for joining us here. We're so happy to have you.
Thank you, Bloomberg.
Thank you so much. Thank you.